As a wrap-up to this assignment, I think I should read the suggested prayers for this time. Lord, hear our prayer. For the church, a sign of God's continuing presence among us, we pray to the Lord. For new beginnings, which will foster peace among the nations, we pray to the Lord. For married persons experiencing the joys and challenges of shared life, we pray to the Lord. For all couples preparing for marriage, we pray to the Lord. It's an amazing concept, the idea of the Messiah being married to the land. And it's interesting, but marriage produces life, and the land produces life. As we read about the nation of Israel, we certainly can notice that this people who had experienced diaspora and persecution and being relegated to ghettos and not having the same sort of freedom to be connected to the land as they now have in Israel, they value the land much more so than many of us in North America do. They realize there's a connection between the land and the production of life. Funny thing is, the land produces food. People eat food. In order to have a bunch of kids and feed those kids, you need land so that you can produce food. And the Jewish people simply have an understanding of this reality better than many of us do. How is the gospel connected to the first reading? What is the meaning for you of these passages? Well, the miracle of changing water into wine, I love the fact that, for one thing, this may have offended many people in Jesus' time. He did miracles that weren't just to make everybody happy, because certainly in that society, as in ours, a lot of people regard wine as too much of a temptation. And while Jewish society is somewhat different than ours, but of course there'd be a lot of people there who didn't like this as his first miracle. We know that anything can happen. We know that God can do absolute miracles and produce food or wine, something useful for people. He can do anything at all. The feeding of the 5,000 and the 4,000 on another occasion. This is not shocking for our Messiah, our King, who was among us. But the greatest miracle of all is for us human beings to change, and our way of thinking to change, and our hearts to change, and us to emphasize what really matters, and not emphasize what doesn't matter. We Christians can be just as materialistic, or even more so materialistic than everybody else. We can undervalue what produces life. We can undervalue land. We can undervalue the production of food. There's a proverb, the wealth that is in the city comes from the countryside. Ecclesiastes, I believe it was Solomon, who said that the princes in the palace, they eat food produced in the countryside, probably by a farmer who might qualify as a redneck. Our artist Murray McLaughlin said, "Thanks for the meal, here's a song that is real, for a boy from the city to you, to the farmers." And we need to get the link between the land and food and life and wine. Well, wine symbolizes a lot of things. For one thing, having a glass of wine can change how we think, or a couple of 3 glasses can change how we think. It can decrease discouragement. It can be something of a new beginning. New wine is a sign of tremendous blessings, but it also symbolizes new ideas directly from God, inspiration to us who are his people. How do they speak to your experience of God and the risen Jesus in our midst? What jumps out at you in the readings? Well, what jumps out at me is just the whole idea. I had to rethink this. How can the Messiah be married to the land? And I had to think about that, and I had to go into this, and then I finally realized, wow, this really ties in with the other readings from January 10th and January 3rd. It's a continuation of a theme, how Messiah is intervening in our world, and he thinks differently than us. The natural tendency for me is to get caught up in technology and ignore the land. I don't even garden. So I've kind of missed that link, and I know that I have a problem there. I know that I'm missing something. I know that this speaks to me and shows me that I need to rethink that connection between us and the land and life itself.